J.P. Mays, an offensive lineman we got out of Columbus, Ohio. He's a guy that we discovered very early. It was one of those late nights. It was probably actually December 15th with Marc Porter. Him and I had that hot date. We had talked about it at the press conference. We watched about 250 kids the next 2 days. But JP's a guy that we were impressed with on film. I really felt like he was under-recruited. You know, sometimes you can't explain why those things happen, but he's got a chance to be someone special. He'll play early here. That's what my expectations are. And he's got to fill out a little bit, but he was excited about coming here. And it's relatively, you know, Columbus is close enough to home that his parents and family can see him play, but then it gets far enough away where he felt like that he wanted to get away from his parents a little bit there and just experience being at college by himself and those kind of things. And that was something that was important to him. Grant Mays is a transfer from Syracuse that we got. We'd watched a bunch of practice tape on him, and you guys saw the special teams play that he had there. He's a tremendous kid. He can play corner. He can play safety. Had a lot of conversations with his mother, and he's an impressive individual. The thing I probably value most about him is he's very observant of behavior, and it was important to him to have a coaching staff that would be interactive with him and his life and his career. You know, coaching is more than just us telling you how to run this football play. He went through a coaching change at his previous school where he was at, and coaching changes aren't good, and those are hard on the kids, especially how they're handled. They can be handled the right way or the wrong way, and unfortunately, you know, he was in a situation where he didn't feel like it was being handled the right way, and he moved on, and obviously we expect him to come in and help us out at corner. Worst case scenario is he can play some safety. He'll be an impact player here as long as he comes in with the right attitude, which I know he will. We've already talked about coming in here and doing what you need to do and leading by example. You got Stephen Page, another local guy here. It's a defensive end, untapped, raw. He'll grow into a 3 technique. He may grow into an offensive lineman. He's one of those guys that you look at him and you look at his frame, and he can hold 300 plus pounds. He's got one of those bodies, and I'm excited about his work ethic. I watched him play basketball, and he's a very good athlete. He bends his knees. He's got athleticism. He's a competitor. He lost a game the other night, and I thought he wanted to, hang up on me for getting wrong a little bit about the game. So he's a competitor, and I like guys that like to win. Michael Shope is a kid out of Kettering down there in Fairmont, and he's a guy that when Coach Montgomery and I walked into the school, I'm like, wow, this guy's a good-looking guy, big guy, untapped, young kid, and obviously you guys saw his highlight film. I mean, he bends his knees, he plays hard, he doesn't take plays off, he's untapped, he's a very smart kid, and I think he's a guy that when you watch his film and then visit him with his coaches, if we get him to understand the total commitment that it takes to be a special football player, he can go as far as he wants, and that's an exciting thing about him is I really feel like he's untapped as far as his potential. He's got a 32 on the ACT, so he's a sharp guy, and we just got to get him to focus, and that's part of maturing and becoming a college football player. Andrew Sinko, he's the guy that you watch there out of Strongsville. Russ Jakes is his head coach. Obviously, he's been well coached in high school, and that's a compliment to them and their program. The thing I like about Sinko is every play you see there, there's guys on the ground. They're on their back. And he's a guy there's another guy here that's been offered by Mac Schools that, just realized that we got some pretty good coaches here too. And our coaching staff stacks up as well as anybody that you want to put out there. And they realized that, and all you got to do is look at resumes. And he did that, and he realized that this was a great fit for him. His mom enjoyed it, and we're glad to have him here. And he's another one of those guys who'll have a chance to play early. We've got 7 seniors next year on the O-line. Next guy's Thomas Sprague. He's out of Gainesville, Georgia. We went down there to Georgia, and he's that other linebacker you saw there on film. And the common denominator that you'll see with linebackers that we sign is they knock people back. They're going to fly to the football, and when they hit people, they're going to knock them back, wrap them up. He's an aggressive kid. You know, he's one of those typical overachiever type kids, a little bit flew under the radar, goes to a really good school, had a bunch of recruits there. He had several other opportunities to go to some other schools in the South, and he had a connection here with our coaching staff, and we feel good about him coming in here. And you can see all of his accolades. He's got a ton of accolades. And, you know, down there in Georgia, they play pretty good football, high school football. I recruited the state of Georgia, and I compare their football to Ohio, very similar. The towns are very passionate about high school football. Marc Stevens is a guy that transferred in from Bowling Green. He played some up there. He's a center. He's out of Lexington High School. B.J. Payne, I think you guys remember Coach Payne. Coach Payne played at Mount Union. They used to call him the House of Pain. So I still call him that. I don't call him Coach anymore. I just call him House of Pain. But he runs a great program down there. He's turned the program around. And Marc actually came out to one of our camps when I was at Illinois. And he ended up going to Bowling Green and went there. And then they went through another coaching change there and just realized that he wanted to look at some other options. He knew that we were here and that it worked out just perfectly for us. He'll come in here and play center. And we felt like we needed to get some guys in there at center for the future, so we feel good about him being here. Jordan Thompson's a tailback. Jordan Thompson, I don't even know how to describe his story. I was at South Carolina when I was over there recruiting, and Coach Cox pulled me in. He's at Lakota West, and the thing that stands out about him is I watched him jump on top of a 42-inch box. You know, standing there on the ground. He's explosive. He's 6'1". He weighed in at 214 pounds. He's got a 77.5-inch wingspan. Plays tailback. He had 1,700 yards. And if there probably wouldn't have been a couple coaching changes at a couple key schools, we probably wouldn't have got him. I mean, I know a lot of other schools I was at that I would have took him. But he's one of those big tailbacks that'll lay on you over a course of a game. And you give him the ball 20, 25 times a game, the other team's going to decide it's probably better off just trying to cut them, or they get tired of tackling them. So that's the kind of guys you like to give the ball to. Kevin Watts is a guy that you guys watched there at the end. He's a your Hines Ward type receiver. You can bring him in the backfield. You can give him the ball. He's a playmaker. He knows how to stick his foot in the ground. He's a natural catcher. He can play that slot receiver position. You can do some punt returns, kick returns. He's out of Middletown. You guys know how many good players have been out of Middletown. So, I told him the expectations are going to be the same for him here. And I expect him to come in and have a chance to do something early too, because he's physically developed. He's 6 foot. He's 215 pounds. He's a high school receiver. He's physical. He'll block, and he has natural skills running with the ball. One thing we talk about in our staff room a lot is I want guys that can catch the football but do something after the catch. I'm not interested in these guys that just catch the football and don't have any yards after contact. I want a guy who can do something with the ball in his hands.